Stugotz here for Blue Apron. 51 weeks of the year, Blue Apron does meal kits, but they've learned from some of their most loyal customers that they've been hacking Blue Apron to make their favorite side. So this year, Blue Apron has created special Thanksgiving side kits just for that reason. I cannot wait to make the stuffing. Oh, do I love stuffing. I love stuffing. It's my favorite side for Thanksgiving. Customize your recipes each week based on your preferences. Blue Apron has several delivery options so you can choose what fits your needs. And there's no weekly commitment, so you only get deliveries when you want them. Each meal comes with a step-by-step, easy-to-follow recipe card and pre-portioned ingredients and can be prepared in 40 minutes or less. Blue Apron's freshness guarantee promises that every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. Check out this week's menu and get $30 off your first meal with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Stugotz. You'll love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron. So don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Stugotz. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
What if I told you that even ordinary people can be on top of the world?
The first attempt on the North Pole by a team of women gets underway today.
The epic adventure will take them over 1,000 kilometers of hazardous sea ice.
It's thousands of miles of ice and nobody.
And so I found myself walking into this water and then sinking up to my neck.
I honestly thought I was going to die in the Arctic.
The all-new 30 for 30 podcast. Subscribe now on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts.
30 for 30 podcast is presented by Mini. We're finding the best sports stories for you right now. And to do that, we're behind the wheel of the new Mini Countryman, the biggest Mini yet.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
To find great sports stories, you have to get out into the world and follow your instincts. That's where the new Mini Countryman's all-wheel drive comes in handy. With all four, we can chase down a story in the city, the country, and most places in between. No matter what story you're chasing, the new Mini Countryman will help you find it. It's available now, and so are 30 for 30 podcasts.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
If you're just joining us, we had a lot of fun the first hour because the know-it-all doesn't know anything. I don't know anything happening in sports. I was in the woods, disconnected from all devices, in search, crawling on God's ground in search of spiritual enlightenment. And I don't know anything about what happened in sports. So the first hour of the show, Stugotz and Mike and the shipping container have been telling me I missed a hell of a sports weekend. And so I'm getting caught up, and I'm trying to unplug. All the televisions in here make that difficult, so out of the corner of my eye, every once in a while, I'll see Drew Brees 23 for 28.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think there's a lot of fun to be had in today's show in things seen out of the corner of my eye, you guys explaining them to me.
Right.
So Drew Brees 23 of 28, I'm assuming that they won, and he played very well. They scored a lot.
Yep.
He didn't really play very well. It was kind of a weird game. Mark Ingram fumbled twice, got in a sideline argument with Sean Payton. I think he's the quickest ever in NFL history to 6,000 completions, though. Red hot New Orleans Saints.
But they're 5-2, and a lot of people, myself included, said Sean Payton, Drew Brees, that thing is done, move on from those two, and here they are 5-2. The defense has played really well, and now you have a crazy NFL where you're not surprised if the Saints represent the NFC in the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's just such a weird sport.
But the talking point from that game is Zach Miller.
Yeah.
And his leg.
Yes.
All right, well, they told me about this in the first hour. Here's another thing that the shipping container has been doing, because I am so woefully ignorant about any of the details in sports. This is the single most unprofessional day of my life. I've walked in here. I have no idea what is going on anywhere.
It was the single greatest weekend in sports history.
All right, but hold on. In the middle of your enthusiasm for sharing with me in the first hour, I'm going to keep slowing you guys down, and please forgive me because you're moving too fast. The world is moving too fast.
Right.
And what I'm telling you is one weekend of disconnect, and I've fallen behind on everything in a way that makes me feel totally overwhelmed.
Okay. That's because you missed everything.
Right. Yeah. I just walked into a messy room, and I don't know where to begin cleaning things up. So, in the middle of the merriment in which Stugotz and Mike Ryan are saying that Deshaun Watson is Michael Jordan, and just a passing glance that the Seattle game yesterday is the best game the sport has seen this season and everything I want from football.
Yep.
And also, in a passing glance, there was something about Draymond Green's kicking or dong. I'm not sure. It happened very fast. And then after that came the Houston Texans are in full revolt against their owner. So all of that came as a surprise to me.
Right.
And now let's pick it up from there, wherever it is that you guys want to pick it up on those stories. I still don't know what the Draymond Green story is.
We can go there, Mike. We can go anywhere. There's so many things to choose from today. It's like a sports buffet. It really is a sports radio buffet. I will tell you, with all the amazing things and interesting things and heartbreaking things that happened over the weekend, by far the best thing that happened was last night in Houston. That baseball game, that's the best baseball game I've ever seen. I don't want to hear it from purists. That was the best baseball game I've ever seen.
Okay, that also happened this weekend. Okay, so
Yeah.
last night, the best baseball game ever played happened.
Technically, this morning.
Okay, all right. So we'll get to that in a second. I feel like I have not given due justice to someone losing a leg, the possibility of someone losing a leg. So can you inform me of what's happening there, please? Like there is a football player who is risking the loss of his leg. Is that something any of us have ever seen before?
I think we've seen that talked about. Jason Taylor had that compartment syndrome.
Yes,
compartment syndrome.
Can you get the sound of that, Mike? I think people would appreciate sort of understanding. Jason Taylor told us the specifics of the story of one night after a football game in which, and Jason Taylor, Hall of Famer, went to great lengths to keep himself on the field. He ran, he played with a catheter to his heart one time, a catheter that was under his arm that was running to his heart. And one night while playing football, he came home from a game on something that he thought would have been just a little bit of a bruise. He was having trouble sleeping. He tried to take pills and sleep standing up on the staircase because it's the only thing that gave him relief.
Mm-hmm.
And he called, I believe, Dr. James Andrews and told him, hey, can I get there? And he's like, and he explained the symptoms to him. And can it wait till morning? And Dr. James Andrews said, it can wait till morning, but if it waits till morning, we're going to have to cut your leg off.
Right.
And so Jason Taylor got on a plane immediately.
So with Zach Miller, he dislocated his knee, and there was a damaged artery in his leg. And so he went straight from the game to the hospital, to the emergency room, and they performed surgery. And right now, they're trying to save Zach Miller, not just his career, they're trying to save his leg.
Yeah, that goes without saying if you're trying to save his leg.
We've seen this in football a couple times. Teddy Bridgewater, there were reports that doctors had to try to save his leg. Sean Spence, the former University of Miami linebacker, when he went into the pros, got a really bad knee injury, and there was that rumbling too. Hopefully it works out for Zach Miller the same way, because both Sean Spence and Teddy Bridgewater were able to make recoveries and return to the sport. The Zach Miller one was gruesome to watch from one angle.
All right, so getting back to Draymond Green, why was he getting into a fight over? What did he get into a fight over?
He got into a fight, and his jersey was torn, and he got into a fight with the Wizards. Kelly Oubre threw a punch. Bradley Beal was involved. It was a really entertaining game. Steph Curry went nuts. It was probably the second most interesting thing that Draymond Green did this weekend, because he actually gave voice. He was like a Texans player representative. I think he gave voice to the pain that a player would receive from hearing that from their owner.
I really like Draymond, man. I really like that Draymond's been empowered. I know that he can be a jerk and he can be off-putting and he's not delicate enough, but the idea that Draymond Green would take up the fight on behalf of the Texans by articulating the pain, Stugotz, this was interesting. I don't know exactly where you're going, right, with this conversationally, but I've told you before about I've got a very spiritually gentle black friend who is just covered in muscles and is a kind spirit connected to all the right things. And he does a lot of things in his life without pain or anger, as being a black man, that he has just sort of learned to do under the guise of, look, I know America's not perfect, but it's better than it's ever been. Like, he is really sort of spiritually balanced, and he doesn't get mad very often, but he has to do a lot of different things to make sure that he stays alive. He keeps his life in a small radius. He tries not to be in his car too much in a threatening manner. Like if he runs across a dead person, as he has, he makes the call from a distance. He doesn't immediately call because he wants to make sure that the police don't arrive and just see a giant black man standing over a dead body.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude was broken by like hurt, wounded, feeling at the roots of black pain when he saw a pregnant widow pressed against a casket, not being properly respected by our country for her loss, or the symbol for the top of our country for her loss. And so he articulated it in a way that really reached me, that I sort of understood. And if you hurt this man, you're really hurting people at the core of black pain. And so anyways, I don't know what Draymond said, but Mike, please share it with me.
I had to take out some of the pauses from this because it seemed to affect Draymond in a way that really got him to a point where he was calculated with what he said, which is something we're not used to Draymond doing. He usually acts emotional, and this was an emotional response. But before this, he also said we should probably stop calling them owners, to call them CEOs, which I thought was
a funny observation. Yeah, hadn't noticed that. Yeah, probably.
So this was from Friday, and they asked him about Bob McNair's comments, the controversy surrounding inmates running the prison, and this was from Shoot Around on Friday.
That's ridiculous. First they were sons of whatever it was. Now inmates? Like, I know some inmates. They don't pay taxes. They're not community leaders. They're not Jenkins flying to the White House and flying to D.C. and doing all these different things to make a difference. They're not Cap donating $1 million. That's like, come on, man. Inmates? That's unacceptable.
Man, Stugotz, like whether it's a black widow against a casket or whether it's my gentle black friend or whether it's Draymond, like it's just shouting, stop disrespecting us. Just stop. Like, stop disrespecting us. Yeah, man. Good job, Draymond.
Dan Le Batard.
Let's play the sound of Taylor Twellman speaking on behalf. Taylor Twellman, excuse me. He's an ESPN analyst who I thought was going to roundhouse kick Matt Brados during the middle of this.
Max.
Mother.
That's a fun.
Mother bleep.
Stugotz.
Sorry, man.
Mother. Yeah, you're sorry.
That's an easy one.
You're sorry.
What'd you call him?
Sorry.
I'm nuts. What'd you call him?
Joe Brados. He was sitting there next to Tyler Twellman. Let's go to the sound.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Guillermo, can you put it on the poll, please? Did you just now learn what Bob McNair looks like? Because it's horrifying when you become the face of one of these issues. I just saw him spinning toward me in the corner of my eye right now, and he looked like a demon man, bald and wearing like a strange hat. And I'm like, who is that? And then it reads Bob McNair. And I'm like, oh, look, he gets to be the face of evil this week as the guy who's running over the inmates.
I'm really upset for you. I know you had a great time in the woods, and you were doing whatever it is you were doing in the woods, and I'm certain you had a great time, because disconnecting is really fun sometimes. It really is. It's cathartic, man. It is.
It's been, I can't tell you, like, the healing in it. Like, it's weird. We are addicted to those devices, man.
But I'm really upset you missed that Texans-Seattle game, because it was everything for you. You had an entire team pretty much taking a knee. You had a team threatening to take the decals off because they didn't want to play with those decals on.
No.
And then you had the most exciting game of the year.
But it sounds to me like I also missed baseball being fun for the rest of you. And it also had the added bonus of a societal racial thing that happened that I didn't know about. So I get the great game in baseball as well, you're telling me, with multiple Clayton Kershaw chokes. And as an added bonus, and I realize you guys don't like the phrasing of bonus, I've got a racial slur or gesture of some sort that I'm still not really clear who did it or why they did it.
Well, we'll get to that. I don't even know where to start with this game, other than to tell you that Clayton Kershaw did not choke once. He choked twice. And it was just such a fascinating game. home run after home run. It seems like Altuve is up every single inning. They're having a blast
All right,
out there.
Guillermo, put it up on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is Altuve up every single inning for both teams? Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
The Dodgers are up 3-0, and they're up 4-0 actually, and then the Astros tie it up, and it's 4-4, and everyone's getting on Kershaw. But then the Dodgers give them 3 more in the top half of the 5th inning. They go up 7-4, but then Kershaw blows it again, and it's 7-7 in the 5th. Yes,
Clayton. Clayton, you pitched the Stugotz game.
Yeah, absolutely. Twice.
Clayton, twice. Last night, twice.
Yes.
Clayton, you're 1-2 in the World Series.
Yeah.
Because you pitched my game the first night, and you pitched Stugotz's game twice last night.
But then you have the Astros go up late in the game, and the Dodgers come back, and the Astros push it back to 3, and then Yasiel Puig ties it up in the 9th inning with a home run, and then you had a walk-off homer.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Everything happened.
Wait a minute. Wait. What happened in
Everything.
the 9th inning? The Astros were up by how much?
The Astros were up 12-9 headed into the 9th inning, and then Yasiel Puig tied it up.
In the top of the 9th.
In the top of the 9th, yes.
So it was an extra inning game last night.
It was an extra. Yes, it went to the 10th inning, and is it Bregman? He hit a walk-off homer.
Is it Bregman or Bergman? Does he? I know he puts the R before the E, but doesn't he put the R before the E? Hold on a second. This is not a fine situation.
It's spelled Bregman.
But how does he pronounce it?
Hell if I know. I'm not watching.
All right, Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does Bregman pronounce it Bergman? Does Bregman pronounce it Bergman? No?
Yeah, and I apologize. A walk-off hit. It was not a home run, but I think it's Bregman.
Well, I know to trust your facts with a grain of salt.
I mean, you just had all the players. Bellinger hit a home run. You had all the stars last night show up except for one.
All right, but at the risk of ruining all the fun that we have around here, can we get back? Can you guys explain to me what happened with the racial taunt?
Mike can explain that one. I will just tell you that no, because Mike, I didn't even know about this with Gurriel. I think it is, but I can tell you that people are very upset with how Altuve, Gurriel, and Correa are acting out there because they are having a blast. They are having a party.
All right,
and I'm telling you, all we've ever said on the show is fans love a home run derby, and that's what last night was. So they need, for baseball to be fixed, because it was fixed last night, just push in all the fences, because there were some home runs hit last night that would have been like sack flies in any other park. I mean, they would have been like...
I saw before I left that Puig called it... Didn't he call it a bleeping baby park? Like, the guy barely knows English, but he knows to call it a bleeping baby park.
Yeah, he benefited from that baby park last night.
I love that. Put that on the poll as well, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Is Puig right that it's a bleeping baby park? All right, I can't keep up with you guys here because I got a lot of questions. Everything you just said, I've got questions about. What is the racial taunt? Like, why? So how are you, the way you're explaining this to me, and we'll get into this next. We got Stugotz's weekend observations. We got Guillermo's useless sounds. The way you're explaining this to me doesn't make a lot of sense. That the Astros are having a lot of fun and they're doing so in a way that's racially offensive. Feels like the way that you're delivering this news to me. And so how is having a lot of fun racially offensive? Explain it to me. Explain it to me after the break, okay? Please?
Yep, sure.
Dan Le Batard.
I mean, just an asinine thing that Disney pays us for. Just asinine.
Thank you.
Stugotz.
It's a clerical error, man. This is arriving at an accountant's desk in Disney, and wait a minute. How much is this costing us? Why?
More, please.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If you enjoy the environments that we create around here on radio and television, the sloppy, silly things, there are a lot of people who do a lot of work that goes into keeping us upright. And what I wanted to ask you, because this weekend I was totally unplugged. I don't know much of anything. All the stimuli I'm coming back into is a lot of sports, a lot of television, surrounded by things, right? And so I get this note from our researcher, Cortez, who does an extraordinary job. Not sure if you'll talk about this today since it's a bit old at this point, but wanted to send you what Joe Sheehan wrote about Gurriel's suspension. Will you guys please explain to me what happened here? Like, how in God's name This is what I've learned so far from you because I've been disconnected, that the Astros have a lot of fun and they're doing something while having a lot of fun that got one of their guys in trouble for having too much fun because it was viewed as offensive by Darvish, and then they suspend him, but not right now because things are going too good.
Gurriel is suspended for the first 5 games of next season, but thankfully he was not suspended last night because he delivered a great moment, World Series moment last night. I shouldn't say thankfully because maybe he should have been suspended last night.
But what sense does it make? Again, I need to explain to all you guys, I don't have any idea what he did, so let me allow me to get offended in real time if he did something offensive. But what I'm asking you is, what sense does it make, with me having no information, what sense does it make that someone did something racially egregious that deserved a 5-game suspension because of how impolite or offensive it was, but that we'd wait until next season to enforce it? Like, explain to me the sense of that.
Well, Manfred met with Yu Darvish, who he credited with sort of how this was all handled, because Yu Darvish wasn't really offended by it, even though he understood why people would be offended by it. He accepted Gurriel's apology, and it wasn't just the gesture with slanting the eyes by using his fingers. He also
slanting the eyes. Where are they doing this after home runs?
He did this. Gurriel did this after hitting a home run off Darvish. He struggled against Darvish throughout his entire career. He was very excited to hit that home run. Not excusing it. I'm just explaining what happened.
This is going back to Friday night, right?
Yes. Then he went to the dugout and he did that gesture, but he also said Chinito. Gurriel's Cuban. And unfortunately, that's all too common. That's super problematic because Chinito means Chinese boy and Darvish is Japanese.
All right. There are a couple of layers here that we're uniquely qualified in Miami to explore here because, in a Toronto Blue Jay got in trouble for something like this as well, where he used a homophobic slur and got suspended. But those words in Spanish don't mean quite the same thing that they do in English. And so while he should not do that, and it's ignorant to do that, it's not quite the same thing as how it's probably being received by Asians, or it's not meant as the same thing, even though you should listen to Asians when they tell you don't do that.
But there is backstory on why Gurriel should have known better. He explained that he's Cuban and it's different, but he did start his career off in Japan, and he knows that that's offensive to them. And he still did it.
But why is it only offensive to 5 games next year? Like, if it's offensive, it's offensive. What happened with Darvish? What did Darvish say?
Well, Darvish has been totally cool throughout the entire process, and Manfred credited him. We have audio here of why Manfred decided to punish Gurriel next season. He didn't want to punish the Houston Astros this season for something Gurriel did. He wanted that punishment to fall just on Gurriel, and financially didn't find it fair to punish his entire Astros teammates because of his actions.
Wait a minute. Okay, that's interesting. What do you make of that, Stugotz?
Man, I don't know. Selfishly, I'm happy that he played last night because he delivered. Like, I don't like that it happened, and he should be suspended.
He's a great hitter.
Well, he just delivered such a great moment last night, an exciting moment. I mean, the fans obviously loved it. His teammates loved it. I mean, I got up off my couch watching the game at home when he hit that home run. But if you're offended, and if it's something that's bad, that you're going to get 5 games next year, the 5 games should probably start the game after you made the
right. But what they're telling you is it's offensive, but it's only so offensive. It's offensive worth 5 regular season games, not a single postseason game. And they're also saying in doing that, hey, our regular season doesn't really matter. Like, our not 5 regular season games we give you are not worth
you
one.
You won't even notice
game,
he's not there,
right?
Which is why Manfred's doing the hard sell on the wages lost by Gurriel as a sort of this is worse now. He also said that if Darvish was super offended by this and handled it differently, then Manfred's decision might have been different as well.
Oh, that's interesting. So Darvish didn't inflame it because you said he handled it gracefully enough to say that he was hurt by it, but not enough to inflame it by saying how hurt he was.
Even in his statement says my teammates joke, which I guess is kind of problematic too in a statement, but he kind of understood. But he's like, the Astros have Asian fans. I'm
Darvish could have made it worse. Sure, of course.
Yes.
I've always thought, you know what? I've always thought that the Williams sisters are enormously graceful in that regard because they could use their power to thump people when they say bad things, to inflame these situations. Because when Serena Williams say, "Hey, that hurts me," just like when LeBron says, "Don't put the N-word on my gate," when these people say these things, they make them much bigger than they used to be. before the lighter fluid, and I've always thought that the Williams sisters handle themselves there with uncommon grace.
I think you can sort of criticize the decision, but Manfred, to his credit, does a good job of explaining why he came to this decision.
I felt it was important that the suspension carry with it the penalty of lost salary. Secondly, I felt it was unfair to punish the other 24 players on the Astros roster. I wanted the burden of this discipline to fall primarily on the wrongdoer. Third, I was impressed in my conversation with you, Darvish, by his desire to move forward, and I felt that moving the suspension to the beginning of the season would help in that regard. Last, when I originally began thinking about the discipline, I thought that delaying the suspension would allow the player the opportunity to exercise his rights under the grievance procedure. It now appears, and I have every expectation, that he will not be exercising those rights.
Okay, so it looks bad. It looks bad. The idea of saying it's only worthy of suspension next year, but that sounds better. That makes it sound better.
Well, it does. He's going to lose $322,000 and change. But, here's kind of the confusing thing. What hurts him the most? He makes $12 million a year. Is it the money or taking him out of the World Series?
Of course.
If you want to hurt him, I understand what you're saying about the team,
right,
but if you want to hurt him.
No, but his explanation was, I want to hurt him, and that would hurt him more, but I don't want to also hurt the other 24 guys. Like, that's reasonable. You can argue with it, but the way he frames it is certainly reasonable.
It's reasonable to say, too, that this was some sort of settlement. You could read into it, and hell, you don't even have to read into it that much with Gurriel waiving any chance at a grievance. It's a very strong union. He'd appeal any sort of suspension.
But where are you going to draw the line? Like, that's a tricky precedent that you're setting right there, because it makes it feel like Altuve can get away with anything, and he's not going to suspend him for the World Series.
Here's what I would say to you. The Darvish thing is not irrelevant here. Like, the Asian contingent is not quite as strong as if Gurriel had done this elsewhere in the offensive community. And so Darvish neutralized it. But if he had done it to a black guy, he wouldn't be playing in the World Series. If he had done it to a gay guy, he might not be playing in the World Series. The Asian contingent is deflating this one by not reacting or overreacting, because you need a contingency.
Sure.
You need somebody who wants to bury Gurriel. And Darvish is saying, no, forgiveness.
Look at me now. I'm getting paper.
You need like an Asian media in the United States to be offended. You need an Asian spokesperson to gather steam behind something like that.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Dan Le Batard. You're announcing that you will not announce that they are a good team until they've won back-to-back.
Yeah.
But because you are taking away all of Kevin Durant's championships in your personal record book, you are never allowing him to win them back-to-back, even if they win them back-to-back, thus securing that you never have to identify them as a great team.
Correct.
Stugotz. I hate when I wander around in your head and see all the empty spaces and the tumbleweed blown around in it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, forgive me, because this is the most unprofessional day of my life, headed to what looks like will be the most unprofessional week of my life, because I want to keep doing this way, where I come into the show totally disconnected and everyone sort of explains to me what's going on, and I get stimulated and curious in real time, because I just saw out of the corner of my eye. I was disconnected all weekend. I don't have any idea what's going on in sports, but I just saw on the television Stephen A. Smith claps back at J.R. Smith, and someone help me here. I don't know what any of this is about. Why is there a clapping back situation?
They're beefing because Stephen A. took a shot at J.R. Smith for wearing his hoodie on the bench, because the Nike new warm-ups have hoodies attached to it, something that Stephen A. didn't like, and he also somehow wove Trayvon Martin into all of this, and then then J.R. Smith clapped back on Twitter towards Stephen A., so now they got beef.
Guillermo, can you put on the poll, please? Do you know the origins of the phrase clap back? I know what clapping back means. I don't know where it comes from. Are Stugotz's weekend observations ready?
No, it's been a crazy Monday.
No problem.
Our production team is, I'll give you an idea. We have not one, but 2 useless sound montages this week.
Are those ready? I felt so bad. Let me explain something to you. I walked back into the other room, and I think it was Pagano. I overheard some Pagano droning, and it made me deeply sad and want to run out of the out of the room, and not the world, but that too, kind of. It made me want to run into the sea. It was so droning and boring, and I felt deeply bad for Guillermo that he has to spend so much time in these press conferences. I don't think it's healthy for him.
By the way, on Clapback, the first time I ever heard that phrase was on a Ja Rule song.
Okay. Also, Mike was asking me. Mike was asking me during the break, are the Bills for real? And so put that on the poll as well, please, Guillermo. Are the Bills for real? What did the Bills do that would suggest to you their realness?
Because they beat the Raiders, a team that we always discussed whether or not they were for real.
What the hell's wrong with the Raiders?
Well,
man?
they're not for real.
Okay, put this on the poll. What the hell is wrong with the Raiders? And then have the 2 choices be football or they're not for real. Because this Raiders question has been the existential question of life around this sports show. About life, you ask, why are we here? About football, you ask, are the Raiders for real?
Right, but now I think the big question in the NFL, are the Bills for real?
Is that the big question in the NFL?
I think it is, and I got to be honest, I don't know yet.
All right, but who's that's good. That's good about existential eternal questions. Usually they don't remain that way unless you don't know yet.
But I think they're more real than the Raiders.
Okay, well, I want to ask. No, but this is what I want to ask.
Now.
No, hold on a second. If we're sitting around playing a game of are they for real, go throughout sports or celebrity or anywhere you want to go. If I go all in with the hand right now, are the Buffalo Bills for real? Do I have the strongest hand from the weekend?
You'd get challenges from the LA Rams and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, wait a minute. Did the Rams even play this weekend?
No, but they didn't lose.
Would you be challenged? Would the Pistons be a challenge? They've won 3 straight. One at Golden State.
No.
They're 5-2. They might be for real.
They might be.
They might be.
They might be.
They might.
And I was asking that question about the Orlando Magic, but then they lost to Charlotte, so I'm doubting that conversation.
Hold on a second. But who's the most for real? Because isn't football the question about the Rams, the Jags? Look, man. The Jags defense is really good, and I can't wait to start talking to Jalen Ramsey and his father, Big L, Lamont, because his father, Jalen Ramsey, the cornerback for the Jags, says that his father is LeVar Ball. And so now what I want to do as a show is invent in our lab the next LeVar Ball. I want Jacksonville to go to the Super Bowl. I want Jalen Ramsey to have a bunch of pick sixes, and I want to invent our own show LeVar Ball of Jalen Ramsey's father, Lamont. Big L, Lamont.
Are the Vikings for real? Uh-oh. They're 6-2.
It's a good question.
Well, but which of those 4 are most for real? If I say to you all of them, if we're asking this question, who's the most? If I go in with a hand of the Buffalo Bills, Stugotz goes a hand of Jacksonville, and then you come in with Minnesota, who's got the winning hand? Put that on the poll as well, Guillermo. On most for real.
Do we know if the Saints are for real? Do we know yet?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They get a lot of credit just because of the Saints, but they're over 500 for the first time since 2009.
The answer to this question is in football is always no, right? We can't say it because of injuries. The answer, the Vikings started 5-0 last year. The Eagles are now, yes, they look like the best team in football, right?
They do.
Eagles, what happened with them against San Francisco? They won big, right?
Yeah, they won 33-10.
Even though Wentz didn't really play well.
Yeah, but they won 33-10 without their quarterback playing very well.
Yeah, it was a ho-hum victory.
Right, so they're good.
Ho-hum.
What did the Browns lost this
They
weekend?
lost to Minnesota. I mean, come on. Why do you have to
but hold on a
right?
second. Are the 49ers and Browns going to go winless? Aren't the 49ers on the 3rd or 4th quarterback? Who's the guy that was playing for them 2 weekends ago?
CJ Beathard. Yeah.
Is that their quarterback now?
Yeah,
he's bad.
He's not that good anymore.
Not for real.
Well, but I'm saying, okay.
He was good the first
But wait a minute. That's the quarterback. The San Francisco was close in all its games with Hoyer. Did Hoyer get hurt?
No, it was performance-based.
No, he just didn't win.
Okay, but they were in all those games, and now this is their quarterback. In the last 2 games, they've lost by 1,000,000 points.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. They're trying to lose.
Bold prediction, though. They will not go winless.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but is Stugotz's theory correct? They're trying to lose because might as well lose at this point.
Niners?
Yeah, are they doing?
I mean, their early season results would not indicate a team.
No, but now,
no.
Once you go to this quarterback, Hoyer keeps you close in games. This quarterback is we're just going to dump games and lose them by 30.
I don't think John Lynch is about this losing life.
He's about getting the first pick in the draft next year.
They're not possibly, but he doesn't. Nobody wants to go winless in that sport, dude.
I guess you're right.
Yes, that would hurt. That
is an eyesore on this Tony Dungy coaching tree graphic.
All right, what else do you guys have? Are any of the useless sound montages ready? Can we go to a useless sound montage now? How does Guillermo feel about? So you guys produced 2 of these this week. You guys had so much. I'm telling you, Stugotz, I feel bad for our production team. I went in there and spent 30 seconds around the Pagano press conference, and I wanted to flee this business.
Dan, I can't explain. You were in the woods the entire weekend. You were disconnected. I can't explain what this weekend was like. One event, the next event topped the event that you just saw. I'm telling you, we had the greatest college football game of the season, the best NFL game of the season, and the best baseball game ever, all in one weekend. And you had on-the-field issues, off-the-field issues. It was just an amazing sports weekend.
Saturday evening, I thought for certain we were talking all Monday about the Penn State-Ohio State game.
Correct.
And this is the first we're mentioning
What
it.
a great weekend for me to fall behind.
I don't know if this is because of the useless sound montage and the place that it puts me in, but I just looked down and realized I'm wearing 2 different shoes today.
Those are definitely 2 different.
Guillermo, this is very unhealthy what we're doing to you. The useless sound montage is a horror. It's a horror. I'm telling you, that needs to be made easier for Guillermo because he is willfully going into a hellhole to listen to this sound in a way that's really painful.
I've invited everyone into my special hell this year, like Chris and Roy and Mike and Allison, and I don't think they like me for it, but it's made my life a little easier.
Guillermo, I want to publicly apologize to you on behalf of myself and the Disney Corporation that you have unknowingly lived this hell that we've been making fun of for a long time, because that felt 30 seconds of it felt like somebody was electrocuting my testicles.
The Raiders may not be for real, but big week for Derek Carr and this useless sound montage.
Oh, yeah.
He found Joe Montana-esque form.
All right, well, let's listen to this then. Is he in this one? All right, so Derek Carr's in this one. See if you recognize any of this week's useless sound.
We're going to get a chance next week to evaluate our football team, see where we are. After 8 games, we're 1-8. That's what we are. We know that part.
At the end of the day, usually you can see a successful Redskin game when you look at the run-pass ratio. The sun's going to come up tomorrow.
They were swashbuckling out there, man. It was something.
You know, where do we go from here? We do the same thing that we always do. We work. We grind.
I was pleased with the resiliency of the guys, of what they stand for as a group of men.
Hard enough, not good enough.
It's only one ball, and everybody understands that.
The respect for the football that we have, that we give to the ball when we secure it and cover it up when we need to cover it up, I think that goes a long way.
The results are the results, but as long as you're staying with the process of recovering, preparing and competing, that process works.
Outside, there was a lot of noise, but there wasn't inside.
It is gut-wrenching. These guys played their tails off.
We lost the game. Nobody did enough.
Me, I'm going to be me.
He has aggressive hands.
We've got to do what we're allowed to do and not do what we're not allowed to do.
Both Colton and Steven had a phenomenal day, as well as Reed Ferguson. I'll mention him as well because nothing happens without Reed, as we all know.
He may not be the talkative person all the time, but I guarantee you, when you want people in your foxhole, Kelvin Benjamin is the person that you want.
Guys just really anteed up and kicked in.
We come out every week. The guys work hard. They respect the process and put the time in. And when you put the time in, you care about one another. You detail your work. You give yourself a chance. And that's what the whole earning the right, you fill in the blank. And, for us, it's about earning the right to have a chance to win on Sundays by doing things the right way.
I told you guys, they came in and they worked. Kept their head down, and they worked.
This game was fun. International, staying at the Hilton. Like I said, I slept like a king in my king-size bed.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm not going to play Debbie Downer. I'm not going to allow nobody to, play Debbie Downer for us.
They had the TV going up and down, so that was unbelievable. I wanted one of those in my house. Now I think I'm going to go buy one, put one in my house.
Yeah, anything that's going wrong is a Buccaneers issue. It's a Buccaneers issue, and anything that's a Buccaneers issue is a Dirk Cutter issue.
It was unbelievable. I just sat there in my bed. I was like, this is awesome.
Sometimes times like this, stuff ain't gonna bounce your way. you ain't finna see me pout.
Yeah, it was like you push out, and then the TV comes out, and then you push in, then the TV goes in. It was unbelievable. You know, I loved it. I was like, dang, big time.
All right, I got a lot of questions.
Yeah, I got.
Who stayed at the Hilton and was just delighted? Who was that?
That was Everson Griffin.
All right, who has aggressive hands?
That was that about Mohamed Sanu? Yeah, that was me guessing because I saw that game and it looked like he had aggressive hands.
Okay.
How about that?
That can't be how that happened.
I know the play that Dan Quinn is talking about. Aggressive hands.
That can't be right. That can't be right. It's Halloween. That's something that's at Legler's house.
Oh, he snatched that ball out of the air like a hawk.
Aggressive hands.
Who's the guy, Reed, that Sean McDermott? Nothing happens without Reed.
Nothing happens in Buffalo Bills football without Reed Ferguson.
Okay.
Who is he?
All right. Who was demanding a respect to the football we love?
Oh, McDermott. I knew at his introductory press conference that this dude would be some sort of mutant monster for these epic. These
I love the way he talked about the football like it was an embryo. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Should the football be discussed like if it's an embryo?
Or some sort of tribal god.
Don Le Batard.
We're very morally upstanding, right? We will never pay for an interview. Never. TMZ, you paid for it? Can I have some?
Harvey, talks to her later.
Stugotz.
Watch this. This will be fun. You guys let me know, all right, when it is that we freeloaded off of TMZ here as a network.
Any minute.
You guys let me know, because as soon as TMZ buys it, we're coming in right behind them. First follower. Never mind about our moral, upstanding, journalistic conviction. We'll be right there. We're hitting, our entire company's hitting refresh on TMZ. You guys got her yet?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
What the hell happened to Kershaw? Like, what happened? I'm getting such splices of information on everything.
What happened is what always happens to Clayton Kershaw in a big spot. And that's what I've been telling you for years. I don't know what it is. I actually feel bad. People think I have this vendetta against Kershaw. I love baseball. He might be the best regular season pitcher I've ever seen. But in the postseason, he simply isn't. He's just not that good. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it, but he's not good.
What happened a game ago?
Damn, one game does not erase an entire postseason career.
No, but that was awful yesterday. But why doesn't look? And he is more awful in the postseason than he is during the regular season. There's no disputing that mathematically. But why does that one get to be? Oh, never mind. Why does that one get to be a big game and game one wasn't a big game?
Because that's the game I was telling you about. And everyone on Twitter was tweeting me, and they knew. That's the game I'm on the road, 2-2, series on the line. You know what you do? Let me tell you what you do. Because this is what Andy Pettit did, and it's what David Wells did, and it's what David Cohn did, especially when you spot him 3 runs. You give your bullpen a rest because they have been doing all the work here. You give them a rest for a night, and you give them 8 innings, 15 Ks, a couple of hits, and then you hand it over to your closer to finish the game off. That's what the greats do. He's simply not one of the greats. Sorry.
Well, I got to agree with you on the first part about it. That is what the greats do. Like, if you have the best pitcher in the baseball, you do what Verlander did to the Yankees in their season in Game 6. Like, if you have Clayton Kershaw, you're right about that. I can't dispute that. I don't think it's because he's mentally frail, but he failed yesterday, and he failed in the most enormous spot that the Dodgers have been in. What's wrong, Mike? What are you laughing about? What's happening?
Well, because we got an eye on First Take right now because Stephen A. Smith is about to address his J.R. Smith beef, and he went for 2 minutes saying nice things about J.R. Smith.
All right, well, go ahead. All right, go ahead.
I wasn't talking about J.R. Smith. I was talking about Nike. Nike's the one that made the hoodies. And I wasn't talking about him wearing a hoodie or doing layup drills or the warm-up line or whatever, the layup line rather, or whatever. I was talking specifically, since J.R. Smith wants to ignore this, I was talking specifically about the J.R. Smith that was on the bench because he had only played 3 minutes in the fourth quarter of that opener against Boston Max Kellerman when he was sitting on the bench with his hoodie on, looking like a sad puppy because D-Wade was on the floor for 8 of those 12 minutes as opposed to J.R. Smith, who obviously reportedly was very upset at the fact that he was taken out of the starting lineup. My comment comments about the hoodie was simple. It's a matter of taste for me. I don't believe a player sitting on the bench needs to have on a hoodie. I wear hoodies, for crying out loud, but it ain't on First Take. Okay, it's not while I'm doing a radio show or anything like that. Wow. In my place of business, I'm ready to handle business, as you can see. So there's an ambiance, there's an appearance, a presentation that matters, particularly when you've been relegated to the bench. Now, having said all of that, I want to sit up there and say, first of all, Max Kellerman, I want to apologize because, you know what? It's a matter of taste. Some people don't mind the hoodies. Others might. I might not like it, but Nike, it might work for them. Hell, their sales might be through the roof because of it. Just my personal preference. But here's the biggest reason I want to apologize. I want to apologize to J.R. Smith because, damn it, you need to be wearing the hoodies, maybe. You kind of need to hide. Let me look at these numbers, right? Because I took the look at writing them down, Max. Since I said that commentary that we played, J.R. Smith had 3 games against Chicago, Brooklyn, the New Orleans Pelicans. In those 3 games, he combined to shoot 3 of 20 from the field, 2 of 15 from three-point range. It's been so bad for J.R. Smith that the damn dude scored 11 points or 3 for 9 shooting last night in a loss to the New York Knicks, and they were ready to give him a standing ovation. That's how bad it is. Now, you're a champion.
Yeah, he's still going. Should I keep it up?
Dwayne Wade, and you might have a point because Dwayne Wade is 35 years of age, and he might need to come off the bench because.
Wow! All right, keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on him. These are big times. These are big and special times.
Wow,
Mike. Keep an eye on him.
1 of 7 from threes in 32 minutes. 27 minutes against the Brooklyn Nets. 1 of 9. 0 for 5 from three-point range. Pelicans, 22 minutes, 39 seconds. 1 for 3. And those were all three-point shots. And this is before you lost by 19 to the New York Knicks last night. And you gonna sit up there and have a problem with me? Have you lost your mind? I said it with my final take the other day, and I'll say it again. Ball. Handle your business. This is not about an attack on J.R. Smith, the person. He's a good dude. The fact of the matter is you didn't learn how to handle the damn basketball until last year. If you start playing the way you're supposed to be playing, you won't be concerned about any damn comments from me because I'll have nothing to say because you will have handled your business and you will have balled, which you are not doing. At the end of the day, your opinions about me doesn't change what I'm going to say. I'm watching, and so is the world. Handle your business, JR. Don't have me asking who the hell shot JR instead of talking about JR's shot. That's all I got to say.
Whoa! Nailed the dismount, and he knows it.
Wow.
And he knows it. He's going to the tee. He's going to the Starbucks tee because he knows he nailed it. And you did, Stephen A. You did.
Time for Dan to question his life choices.
He did the Cody move, except Cody never nails it.
He was very confident, and at one point during the end of that, he was talking directly to J.R. Smith because he's well aware that J.R. Smith is watching.
He picked up his cell phone, slammed it on the table, looked J.R. Smith in his eyes via camera, and said, "Ball."
Yes! Glory be to Stephen A. That was delightful.
He's the greatest of all time, man.
Man, JR. Good God. That escalated quickly. Also, Stephen A. Smith and Wilbon sound incredibly old. They used to be the young people.
Stephen A. still.
They used to be the young people. And now they're not the young people anymore. And their viewpoints are not of the young people. Because the beginning of that sounded old with the hoodie stuff.
It sounded awesome.
Stephen A. speaks for me.
Yeah.
Dress professional. Yeah. Dress professional at work. Look at me because you know I handle my business. And he actually grabbed his lapels when he did that.
Oh.
He feels so good right now.
Guillermo, put that on the poll. Was that sex? Just at Levitard Show.
Don Le Batard.
Forget the off-court stuff now, because I already brought that up. That's far more serious, and I appreciate your answers with that. But on the basketball court, on a lighter level, you have put a spotlight on your sons.
He put a spotlight on it.
If you are just joining us, we are watching First Take. We go back now to live coverage.
Stugotz.
But Daddy elevating him the way that you do. You cutting checks. Your son's going to have to cash, as Max said.
No checks. Y'all the one trying to cash these checks.
LeVar, does it ever seem to you like everyone's outraged by a lot of people who
Max, get out of the way, Max!
Yeah.
Max, get out of the way!
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
This is what I'm telling you, and it might be a lifestyle choice going forward. This week, I'm not going to pay attention at all to sports. I'm going to have our team, which is very dedicated and very strong, inform me of sports all week so that we can learn in real time what it is. It'll be like watching sports with us, because I will learn in real time the stuff that's going on in sports. I'm going to totally unplug. I'm not going to turn my television on, and I'm not going to check my computer.
You're not going to watch Game 6 of the World Series?
No, I'm going to try to avoid everything, and you guys are going to explain it to me, because I've enjoyed the way this has gone today, where you guys are telling me this is the greatest sports weekend of my lifetime, and I've missed everything. I want to get to Stugotz's or Guillermo's weekend observation. I'm sorry, Stugotz's weekend observations, and Guillermo has another useless sound montage. But Mike Ryan was making fun of me during the break because he was saying I was making weird noises during our Stephen A. Smith cut-in. What was weird about them, Mike?
Look, you're writing them down, Max Kelvin. Since I said that commentary that we played, J.R. Smith had 3 games against Chicago, Brooklyn, the New Orleans Pelicans. In those 3 games, he combined to shoot 3 of 20 from the field, 2 of 15 from three-point range.
All right, what is that? Am I soaring? I'm soaring on a roller coaster. Unicorn.
What'd you do in the woods this weekend, man?
Not what you think. Because I think many of you think like I was doing ayahuasca or something, or praying to goats or something. I wasn't doing any of those things. I was just listening to music. But yes, what does that sound like? Let's examine. Let's go through the room. You guys have been howling. Is it an old woman delighted on a roller coaster? Like, what is the sound you guys in the shipping container are hearing?
Look, you're writing them down, Max Kelvin. Since I said that commentary that we played,
it sounds like
3 games against Chicago, Brooklyn, the New Orleans Pelicans. In those 3 games, he combined to shoot 3 of 20 from the field, 2 of 15 from three-point range.
All right, hold on a second. Guillermo, answer my question here. Does that sound like pleasure or torture? Does it sound like sex, or does it sound like someone's removing my eyeball with a scalpel from the movie Hostel?
It's such an innocent happiness that I can't even picture like anyone this happy. You in particular.
Anyone in that? So you can't picture anyone to be this happy. Stephen A. Smith makes me that happy.
You sound like a very excited owl. That's what you sound
like. A very excited owl?
Yeah, I hear some of that.
Is it an owl having sex?
Yes, an owl in heat. Yes.
Okay.
Good answer.
I've got the choo-choo train. You sound like a choo-choo train.
All right. But Guillermo, put all of these on the poll. Allison, do you have any nominees for what it is that what images my orgasmic noises involving Stephen A. Smith are conjuring?
You asked if it was sex or torture, and I say it's both.
Yes. Wow. All right, let's hear it again. All right, so this is Paul Giamatti in what's that? Billions. So I like my pleasure painful.
Look, you're writing them down, Max Kelvin. Since I said that commentary that we played, J.R. Smith had 3 games against Chicago, Brooklyn, the New Orleans Pelicans. In those 3 games, he combined to shoot 3 of 20 from the field, 2 of 15 from three-point range.
I feel it's more like a roller coaster. I don't think it's sexual pleasure. It just sounds like a roller coaster.
I told the guys, Terrence Newman on the roller coaster.
Yeah, I feel what is reaching deep into my soul there is that Stephen A. thrills me. That was a thrill ride I was just on. I'm unhappy to be off it. You guys can't picture me, right? Like doing the wave on a roller coaster as it goes downhill, right? You can't picture me like going, woo!
No, we cannot.
I can't picture you on a roller coaster.
Right.
Have you ever been on one?
My life has never been one of those. My life is a very steady trolley. very secure, very responsible. It is getting, I know, right? It's getting there on time, though.
Trolley.
It is just going. It doesn't make any noises other than creak. It goes very slowly. But it's gathering steam, baby. I got some fuel in the woods. Now I am gathering steam and headed downhill. Choo-choo, baby. It is so. But Roy, what do you imagine is happening to the owl? You've got is the owl
a 50 Shades situation?
So the owl is having fun and delightful sex.
That's a very freaky owl, right?
All right. The owl is freaky. Mike, is there a sound that let's hear that one more sound just of when it is that my pain became pleasure at the height of pleasure pain? Yes!
Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU. Dan Le Batard.
The bifocal eyeglasses.
Stugotz.
Marcus Mariota. Growing up right in front of our eyes.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
All right, Dan. Buckle in. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Warriors forward Draymond Green was fined $25,000 for his role in Friday's altercation with Wizards guard Bradley Beal. Colts quarterback Andrew Luck is seeking more opinions to determine why his surgically repaired shoulder is not progressing as expected. I'm rattled because, well, you'll find out. And finally, McDonald's has officially changed its name to China, in China, not to China, in China. I'm rattled, Mike. I'm telling you, the two words here, and I'm rattled. I don't know what to do with them. The company's previous name in the country was Maya D'Angelo, which is a Chinese interpretation of McDonald's that's been swapped out for...
There's no way you got right, Maya D'Angelo. I don't know what that is.
It doesn't sound right, but maybe take a look at it, and because you're good with this stuff, with reading.
Maya D'Angelo?
Yeah.
Maya D'Angelo.
Look at it. Maya D'Angelo. Am I right? And finally, look at it.
My Danglo.
But you could see how someone would go Maya D'Angelo, right?
No,
well, you could see how someone like me would do that, right?
Yeah,
that's not the one I'm worried about. I'm worried about the next one. That's been swapped out for the Jingo Men.
Did you make McDonald's a chain named after a poet?
Maya D'Angelo, which is a Chinese interpretation of McDonald's that's been swapped out for...
he made it with an uncomfortably sensual rhythm and blues guy. He made it D'Angelo.
Right. Take a look at that next one there, the Jingo one.
That's been swapped out by Jingjiang Man.
All right.
I'm trying to say it that I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody. Everybody, if you told us,
yep,
I wasn't trying to be offensive there.
Correct.
I wasn't doing a Chinese accent. I was just trying to pronounce a Chinese word.
You were trying to pronounce it with the correct inflection.
Let's all learn from you on this.
Correct. So it's been swapped out for Jingong Men, roughly translating to golden arches.
Okay, very good.
All right. Smooth plays call for smooth bourbon. Larceny Bourbon is made with more wheat for a smoother taste. Our master distillers hand-select only the finest barrels for a true small-batch bourbon. Get caught in the act with Larceny Bourbon. Think wisely, drink wisely. Larceny Bourbon, Bardstown, Kentucky, 46% alcohol by volume.
Mike Ryan, I would like to play a game right now, okay? We've got a lot of stuff to get to. There's still another useless sound montage out there. Poor Billy's been suffering, came into work today with 2 different shoes because he's been listening to too much Pagano. It's like an atrocity. We're ruining Billy's life. Billy's got like a human resources complaint that he can make, and he should win a big settlement. Like, this has been torture, what we've been doing to him, and not the pleasure pain that I like. So, that is me listening to Stephen A. Smith torch J.R. Smith in a battle of the Smiths. And just delighting in it in real time. And Amin has said, he's written in, he'll be in with us this week, that what this sounds like is the Pillsbury Doughboys' dark habit of loving to be burned by cigarettes. Like he's kinky. And so it's a lot of fun. It seems like great fun, but it also seems like, you're burning the marshmallow in sensitive spots. But I like it.
3-point range.
So what I want to do is open up the phones and ask you, 786-456-4837, can you do better than that? It's a terrible idea. I know.
It's awful.
But how many times do you have to preface this by this is a terrible idea and then be proven right?
Well, but I think sometimes that when we get it wrong, the awful can also be funny. Like sometimes, as Greg Cody proves every Tuesday, sometimes the awful is funny.
And sometimes it's just awful.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That too.
So that's what I'm worried about here.
Are you guys rejecting the idea? You guys, okay.
It always ends up being bad when we open things.
All right, let's do this. Let's have, while listening to the useless sound montage, let's have a show meeting behind the scenes and think about this for a second to see if we're going to take calls. You play the useless sound montage, and we will have a show meeting in the talkback, 786-456-4837, to see if this is just the most terrible idea ever, or if there's a way you guys will try to please me by rescuing a bad idea that I will then circle back around on and tell you, yeah, you were right. It was a terrible idea.
Yeah, we're going to do it anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
This day really belonged to, just believing. I don't know if you guys can imagine, but we practice it, kind of practice believing.
I'm going to make my corrections. I'm going to get better. There won't be a day that I stop working to be a better version of myself.
It's just throwing and catching and blocking and running and, doing all those things.
It's what we do. It's our job for a living. We just got to stop taking body blows and start delivering them.
I thought we moved the ball well when we needed to move it well.
We did a lot of good things in this football game. We came up short.
I can line up any one of those five guys anywhere pretty much. We have a couple X's, we have a couple Z's, and obviously Crowder goes inside a zebra.
You can't block them forever. If we get open quickly, we don't have to block them as long.
We're on the short end of the stick again.
I don't know how you could have more injuries at offensive line. I really don't. It's mind-boggling.
Bottom line is I sucked at the end of the game. I was terrible. Let my teammates down, put us in a bad position. The game was only close because I sucked. That's whack. That's weak of me. Terrible. I was whack. I suck. And I'll be better.
It's hard to, go against the eye of a tiger. A team that will claw and fight to the end. It's hard to beat a team like that.
Jay, after the touchdown pass to Dachshund, you lost my train of thought there, sorry.
This dude like baby Jesus a little bit right now.
You know how our guys are. That's not in our DNA. That's not our character. These guys are going to grind and they're going to fight to the bitter end.
I wasn't trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes.
Coach, the game was played predominantly in the teens. Is that a style that you're comfortable playing?
What are you talking about?
Well, not scoring a lot of points, more low scoring, grind it out. Is that a style you like, the team prefers?
I would prefer to win.
We came naked, stop free at quarterback. He was poised, though.
At the end of the day, it's a lot of teams that wish they was 5-3. And I said this before. The optimism of it is we're all 5-3. The negative of it is that we're 5-3.
You prepare and you practice and you come to work every day and you keep your head down and you grind.
We tip our cap to Detroit, man. They were a game bunch. We knew that they would be.
The look in their eye was, Coach, we're getting ready to play a football game on Sunday.
It's on 8.
They put in so much time during the week that, they weren't going to be denied, and that's the true essence of respecting the process.
That's how life is sometimes. And that's how football is sometimes. You keep going and you keep fighting. And eventually it'll turn. When that is, I don't have a crystal ball. But I know you go the other way, I know what the outcome will always be. And that's not this team.
I'm just going to brag on my players for a minute. Over at the hotel that we stayed at, they've had 4 teams stay there, and they came up to me and said, this is the best, most well-mannered group they've ever had. They sit together, they eat together, they hang out together. Please and thank you. So that made me feel good. And they won today, so that made me feel better.
Such good inmates. Polite. So well behaved. Who was that at the end? Was that Mike Zimmer?
Mike Zimmer, of course. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was the guy. I thought you were doing a funny with look him in the eye. I thought he was the guy who said you look him in the eye, and then how would you know Zimmer, Wow. I need to go back to that Belichick back and forth. What?
Oh, he was in rare form.
No,
I mean, he was a Belichick form.
But I mean, that Belichick back and forth was tremendous,
Yes,
right? Like
yes.
he's legitimately, he's trying to engage there with the reporter, and he's hitting him with a very curious, what do you mean? Like, why do you like these games in the teens? The easiest thing there is to be polite, right?
Yes.
Just to move on. Our
But he's
defense,
not gonna do
our
that,
defense played well.
How much do you think Bill Belichick enjoyed this?
Coach, the game was played predominantly in the teens. Is that a style that you're comfortable playing?
What are you talking about?
Well, not scoring a lot of points, more low scoring, grind it out. Is that a style you like, the team prefers?
Well, we prefer to win.
He's just genuinely confused. He seems like he's absorbed the question, and his response is, "What are you talking about? You're speaking Mandarin."
What are you talking about?
Like he wasn't there.
Like, right? Like what? You know what he was trying to ask, Belichick?
What are you talking about?
God, what kind of robot is that person? You realize football's being dominated by someone who's totally insane, right?
Or a genius. Or both.
Or both.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Like, it's being dominated. It's being run. The only thing we know is that guy's team is going to win a lot of games. It's like the Browns are going to lose a lot, and he's going to win a lot.
Well, we prefer to win.
Yeah.
Yep.
As you've stated before.
Mm-hmm.
Time for Dan to question his life choices.
We got zebra steel pens. I could feel the zen when using these pens. People, they support us. Thank you for supporting them.
Jameson Crowder's a zebra.
Dan Le Batard.
In the hypothetical, go ahead fictionally. Go ahead and come up with, if you're a man or a woman, the worst person in the world for your spouse to be having an affair with.
Stugotz.
It's Greeny.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So we've got to get to Stugotz's weekend observations. Before we do that, though, is there anything I need to know that I don't know because I don't know anything about sports that's going to make any of these jokes or observations make sense to me? Because Stugotz needs me to know something,
right?
So that I get the jokes. I'm going to miss the jokes if I haven't been paying attention to anything in sports.
So many stories this weekend, and it's funny because every time we open our mouths, you seem to learn something new. I will only tell you that Oklahoma City, the Thunder, their team plane hit something en route to one of their games. It hit something. There was a big dent in the plane when they landed.
The nose of the plane was all caved in. It's amazing that the flight landed safely.
How about this? This happened to me yesterday on the way back from the woods where I was secluded. Have you ever seen this happen? My plane on the runway screeched to a halt in order to avoid an accident like you would with a car accident with another plane that was on the runway. Like they were both going not very fast, but fast enough that they were going to collide at an intersection, and the pilot noticed at the last second and hit the brakes in a way that made everyone jerk forward. No, it was the opposite of that. It was scary. Yes.
Strange weekend you had in the woods. Are you sure that happened?
Yes, I'm positive it happened. I was confused by it. I'm sure someone got it. I'm sorry. I should have let the joke sit. Damn me. Let's do Stugotz's weekend observations. My bad.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Dan, last weekend, I told you that Penn State was back. This week, I'm telling you that they are not. But you know who is? Ohio State. Urban Meyer has slithered his way back into the Final Four. Ohio State, Penn State, best game in the history of football. Texans, Seahawks, best game in the history of football. Bill O'Brien is now 0-2 in games he tried not to lose. George Springer, good-looking kid. Springer Dinger. J.T. Barrett. That wasn't a Heisman moment. That was an entire game of Heisman moments. Having seen what Clemson looks like, both with and without him, I feel pretty confident in saying the most valuable player in college football is Kelly Bryant. Wait, Florida State is 2-5. I feel pretty confident in saying the most valuable player in college football is DeAndre Francois. What happened there?
Wait a minute. FSU lost again?
Oh, you're just learning that?
They lost 35-3 at Boston College.
At BC.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
Florida State is 2-5?
Yep. Which is why DeAndre Francois is the most valuable player in college football. I'm surprised J.J. Watt hasn't taken all the credit for the success of the Houston Astros. J.J. Watt had as many sacks throwing out the first pitch at the Astros game as he did playing defensive end during a Texans game. J.J. Watt threw out the first pitch of an Astros World Series game using something called a hope cane. Hope cane, more like a dope cane.
Oh!
That hope cane has as many sacks as J.J. Watt. Hope cane. You know what I hope? The Texans win the Super Bowl without you. He may call it a hope cane. I call it the weapon that will be used to injure Deshaun Watson under a cloak of darkness, mystery, and raging jealousy.
Wow.
What happened?
Really? You have J.J. Watt seething jealousy? Or
you don't? Do you know this man?
It'd be the only quarterback he took out this season.
When he's done with Watson, he might take out his own brother, TJ, because you know that's bothering him. The flight attendant who wants to use his platform to perform a stand-up routine. Do me a favor. Shut the hell up and get my plane in the air.
Yeah.
This week's edition of Polls Are Stupid. Oklahoma currently has the same record as Ohio State. They dominated the Buckeyes in Columbus earlier this season. Presently, the Sooners sit 6 spots behind Ohio State in the coaches' poll. Polls are stupid.
Yeah.
National Fall Lacrosse Festival in Maryland. When you cancel a tournament the night before because of rain, when I wake up the next morning, there better be flooding. There better be a monsoon. I better be taking a canoe to the airport. To the head coach of Coppermine 2022, who said I made her kid cry. A kid that committed 2 penalties and talked trash to my kids, me, and my coaching staff the entire game. Next time, don't tell me I'm an adult and she's an 8th grader. Nope, you're an adult, so teach the 8th grader to stop talking trash to the coaches on the sideline. Not her fault, yours. And next time, I'll yell at you. Well, T, see you next year, Horned Frogs. I blew it. I knew I was going to. It was a tough transition from page to page. Mike, I was concerned about it the entire morning. Mike, why don't you deliver that one the way it's supposed to be? No, I'm going to blow it again.
Well,
I'm going to blow it again.
See you
next year, Horned Frogs. Carson Wentz, NFL's second leading passer. Deshaun Watson, off to the greatest start for a quarterback in league history. Jimmy Haslam drafted Johnny Manziel because a homeless guy told him to do so. We're headed towards a college football Final Four with 4 of the most trustworthy coaches in the history of the sport. Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney, Urban Meyer, and Brian Kelly. What a scam. Went to a Halloween party over the weekend. It was crazy. Saw at least 20 people dressed up as Rick Pitino. Still trying to confirm, but I'm hearing the Oklahoma City Thunder plane was dented because it flew into an Anthony Roberson free throw attempt. Kevin Durant, I bet the Warriors plane always has a smooth and easy ride. Jameis Winston, more like Jameis Stinkston. Jim McElwain now has plenty of time for fishing.
Yeah.
The University of Florida was trying to find ways to fire Jim McElwain for cause. Sucking isn't grounds for cause. DeAndre Hopkins, 224 receiving yards. A little reminder, he said Tom Savage was a better quarterback. By the way, Tom Savage's agent, awfully quiet. At least...
Yeah.
At least the Sixers.
By the way, it's McElwain.
Sorry. At least the Sixers didn't trade up to get Markelle Fultz. FIU football program. Death penalty. Collision course. The Texans players should take a knee in protest of having Bill O'Brien as their head coach. I'd hire Tim Tebow to be the next Gators head coach. Go ahead. Give me the mom and dad who's not going to say yes. Dallas Keuchel. The balls aren't juice. The only thing that's juicy are those meatballs you are serving up to the Dodgers. Jim McElwain got fired.
Why do you keep doing that?
How do you say it again?
Why are you dyslexic about his name?
How do you say it again?
McElwain. The E's before the L. You keep putting the L before the E.
Jim McElwain got fired. And you know what that means? It means Nick Saban is about to get another raise. Tariq Cohen. Touchdown. Kids got some real chutzpah. Tariq Cohen and Juju Smith-Schuster. Big weekend for the Tribe.
So you got a Juju and you got Tariq Cohen. Yes.
Big weekend for the Tribe.
Yeah, that's Judaism, for those of you who think he's talking about the Cleveland Indians.
Do you know what no timeouts at the end of the game plus awful clock management equals? Todd Bowles, Marvin Lewis. I'd get Joe more in the mix-in. Mike Zimmer, Coach of the Year, Collision Course. Dan said South Florida was the best college football team in the state of Florida. He was wrong. Atlanta Falcons. A win's a win unless it's a 5-point win against the Jets. Then it's a loss. 3-4. Hey, Harvey Weinstein, go to hell. And when you get there, say hello to Art Riles.
You weren't trying at the end. You weren't trying.
Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Dan Batard.
Your face is gibberish, fat face.
Stugotz.
I don't respect Twitter. It's Twitter.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Would you be kind enough to read that, the story that you reacted to again, where you said, what the hell is going on here with the shoulder? Was that Andrew Luck you were talking about?
Yeah, it was Andrew Luck. He is seeking more opinions to determine why his surgically repaired shoulder is not progressing as expected.
I would go ahead and guess that that's a botched surgery, and we don't have a lot of those in sports, but that some things got done wrong on Andrew Luck. And I know that this feels reckless, but this Andrew Luck injury has lasted so long that it feels from here like a monster investment by the Colts has been cut physically in a way that was not healthy or healing.
Could it possibly, I'm not saying you're wrong. We don't know if you're right. Could it possibly be, hey, just save him for next year? Or just keep giving excuses and we're just saving it for next year?
Yeah, but something on the front end, he should be back by now. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is on his way back, and he had to be taken to the hospital for a broken leg. Now, the arm you could worry about Aaron Rodgers and Andrew Luck going forward because that area of the body is different than the legs.
It's so weird because following the surgery, they sent out a statement saying it was successful and that it went well.
Right. The rare. I'm waiting for the first press conference in the history of press conferences where it's announced by press release, oh, we botched this one.
Yep. Unsuccessful surgery.
Woo! Like the press release by the Indianapolis Colts. You should have seen how much blood Andrew Luck was losing in that room. We just tied everything back together and got scared and ran away because we know how valuable that arm is.
Could it be on the rehab front, too, that something happened with rehab, not just necessarily... I know we're just trying to figure out what happened.
Well, there's also that he's a sloth.
Because we default to he, blamed the doctors, but it might be because he's a sloth or something.
Yeah. They were confused when they cut him open. We're expecting a human athlete, a human being of magical athletic gifts, and instead we just got a sloth with a pituitary problem.
Mike, what a weekend, because I just looked up at the TV. We discussed so much this weekend. We never got to. And, like, sometimes this would lead a particular day, but Calvin Johnson and teams inquiring about
Oh, wait a minute. So you guys were serious about that?
Oh, look, right now, Mort's talking about it.
Half serious. Actually, that's kind of news to me. I didn't know that they were actually talking about that when I joked with you that that Calvin Johnson.
Teams are talking to the Lions about a potential Calvin
Can we
Johnson.
slow down?
It's
Hold
crazy
on.
what's going on.
I spoke that into existence.
Hold on. Is that just happening now, or has it been going on all weekend?
No, apparently it broke yesterday.
Yeah.
Why can't the Lions keep him? I feel like they could use
Well, he
him.
doesn't want to be there.
Well, yeah, and the receivers are performing quite well right now.
Let me ask you, that's amazing indictment of the Lions organization. You have had two transcendent talents that roar across the galaxy, and you've made them both quit.
Right.
Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson. Your incompetence have made them both quit. I want to ask you guys for some more updates. Tell me everything. Let's do this a little more rapid fire like we've been doing it all show. Tell me all the things that I missed this weekend. Knock them one after another here because I haven't been paying attention at all to sports, and I'm not going to pay any attention the rest of this week. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to disconnect from all devices and all television. The only time I will see sports is when it's on here in the room in here.
I'll give you a couple of NBA ones we gave you earlier, way earlier, like a lifetime ago, that the Cavaliers lost to the Knicks at home, and that the Warriors, who were playing with everyone was available and healthy, and everyone played 30-plus minutes, they lost to the Pistons at home. Those are two things that happened that we just don't have time to get to today.
What else? What else you got, Mike? Things that are interesting from sports this weekend that I missed that I'm going to need to know about going forward.
Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins went through a haunted house. There's video. It's amazing.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
The Eagles and the Steelers have the best touchdown celebrations in sports. I can't decide which one I like more, but the Eagles went back to the baseball well because Mike Trout was once again in attendance. Alshon Jeffrey, I don't know if you saw this unbelievable play he had on a touchdown, but he deserved to celebrate.
He did.
And the celebration was Zach Ertz winding up and throwing a pitch at Alshon Jeffrey. Once he got struck by the pitch, he charged the mound.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But the Steelers won the week. I forget who scored the touchdown, but immediately a teammate went on all fours. Then that became a bench rack for a bench press, and all the offensive line surrounded him and started barking out, come on, one more,
okay.
Give me one more.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. I love the touchdown celebrations this season.
You also had Clayton Kershaw choke twice. Not once, but twice. In 2 consecutive innings. He actually blew a game in back-to-back innings.
In the
Amazing.
best baseball game you've ever seen since the last baseball game that was the best you've ever seen.
Since Game 3 of this series, yes.
As a touchdown celebration, also the Steelers, Juju Smith-Schuster, who had lost his bike only to have it returned to him midweek and became a fun Twitter thing. As a touchdown celebration, he ran to the sideline, got a big long chain, and locked up a stationary bike that was on the sideline, so no one can steal that.
Okay. So he's funny. Allison, should we go after this guy? Like, this guy wants to be a star and he's ready to be a star? Like, this guy...
Yeah, we should go after him. He's taking a driver's license test this week. I believe he's the youngest player in the NFL.
Martavius Bryant going to go after him.
Or Martavis.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, we got to fix that. We've been doing that since last year. We got to listen to Mike on that one. He's keeping us young. Like, we keep making it Martavius, and it's not Martavius. It's Martavis.
He can't be happy. That guy.
Well, yeah, it's because we've been mispronouncing his name, or because Juju stole all his stuff.
No, Juju stole all his stuff. Everything.
I mean, Brian is right to ask for a trade, right? Brian should be asking for a trade.
Yeah, but why would you trade him?
I mean, so
you're not going to get anything for him, and then you have him as insurance in case someone gets hurt.
You don't think you'd get anything for Martavis Bryant?
I don't think you get that much for him. I don't.
Do you think he stole his bike?
Oh, wait, Guillermo, you really think that Martavis Bryant stole Juju's bike?
Well, they were feuding, and now I'm starting to piece these things together. That was his only means of transportation. So if you take his bike, he can't show up to work anymore.
You make him walk or tire him out on the way to the stadium and on the way to work. That's excellent in terms of nefarious behavior. You think Martavis Bryant was trying to get his job back one step at a time by making Juju tired, by making him walk. All right, that's $2. You owe $2. For such a terrible suggestion.
There's a little like rumor mill going on here that the Patriots are actually interested in Bryant. If you're the Steelers, you don't make that trade, right? Mike, you do not make that trade.
To them, you mean?
You don't trade. You're going to play. There's a chance you'll play in the AFC Championship game.
No, why would you make that when you can just get Calvin Johnson now?
Time to feed the corporate machine.
Patriots are so going to get Calvin Johnson.
Of course. They're going to get Aaron Rodgers, too, as soon as he's healthy.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.